Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at fixing some bugs that have creeped into the system over the last few videos. And so I'm going to show you one of the problems now. This is when Zool is in the air and transitioning to the ground when he's landing on candies. You'll find that he kind of floats in the air a little bit before he lands on the ground. Let's take a look at that. You saw it there for a second, but it's kind of hard to see. If I land on the candy, see how he kind of hovers in the air there, kind of in the falling. You see the falling sprite when he really should be on the ground. That's a little bit weird. And so the way to fix that is you go into the collision event between object Zool air and object solid. And remember, in past videos we replaced a lot of these move to contact all calls to this function with this script, and that's we forgot to do that here, so we need to do that. So I'm just commenting out the old code and uncommenting the new. You'll have to put in the new code, but that's what you need to do is script move to contact with, and then the parameters of direction, the -1, and that one says object underscore solid or obj underscore solid, and that should fix that problem. If we run the game now, let's take a look. Just make sure it does actually fix the problem. Sorry, my play screen always ends up on the other screen. Yeah, see, he just automatically gets down to the platform. So that's one problem solved. Another problem we had was if Zool would run quickly through an enemy or maybe through a hazard, he wouldn't get injured, which is kind of strange. So let me set that up and then I'll show you what that looks like. Alright, so here we are. Here's object Zool. If I run right through the jelly, notice I didn't get injured. Yeah, another example of that is, see there's that spike right next to the lollipop. If I run through it, see I don't get hurt, but if I go through it slowly or actually stop moving on it, then I actually get hurt. So there's just a couple conditions we have to look at. If we look at object Zool and we're looking at collision with object hazard, it's right here in this conditional. We make sure that he's not already hurt, and then if he's not hurt, then we check to see if the absolute value of the horizontal speed is greater than 1. But then I forgot to set the value of what we're checking to see if that conditional expression is equal to, and it should be equal to true because it's a condition, right? Is the absolute value greater than or equal to 1? If that's true, then do this thing. Well, I didn't put the true in there, and they use numbers. 0 is usually represents false, and 1 or usually any other number. 1, anything that's not 0 is considered to be true. So we have to put true in there, and then an object enemy, same thing. We have to put true in that, and that should solve the problem with him being able to run through. Hazards and enemies. What this does do, though, which is kind of odd, is if we play the game right now, you'll note that if Zool is not moving, he's not going to get injured by the jelly. Like, say, right now, here's Zool, here comes the jelly. You would figure he'd get hurt right now. But since he's not moving, he's not getting hurt, which is kind of odd. The question is this absolute value thing absolutely necessary? I tend to think that he should get hurt either way, whether he's moving or not. Now, maybe this code is in there for some other reason. So, like if you would to land on him, yeah. So I don't know. We still have to add the action where if you land on the jelly, it kills the jelly. And so, yeah, I don't know. We might have to take this out later. But at least he gets hurt when he's moving. It's just now he's not getting hurt when he's not moving. Maybe right now is the time to take that out. completely. So just disregard the if statement. Where did it go? Uh-oh, we lost our window. Let me just scooch everything over and see if I can get this to so that we can see everything. What I'm trying to find is so what I'm doing here is I'm just going to delete this, see what happens to the rest of it. And that should handle it. Let's also look at the collision event then with object Zool hazard. And again, we want to get rid of the this here. So again, what I'm suggesting is selecting that, and then I'm going to do a shift click to see if it selects everything in between. It does not. Typically in most things, if you do shift click, it will select. So get rid of all of those, delete this. And then I want to paste onto the side of this. And again, now I'm going to select everything again. I'll zoom out so we can see what we're doing. Select that, select that, select that, and that. All of this selected, and then I'm going to drag that and put it there. Now it looks like that's going to work. This code window is gargantuan. And you only have a few lines of code too, which is ridiculous. But you can resize it so it looks a little bit easier to read. So let's try the game now and see. Alright, so here's Zool. If I wait here by the jelly, he hurts me. You can hear the sound though. Why not? Let's try that again. Yeah, I'm getting hurt, but I don't hear the sound. But if I try to run through the jelly, let's see if there's a difference. Yeah, so we lost the sound. Yeah, strange. Okay, so this is, again, the collision event between object Zool and object Zool enemy, or yeah, object enemy. Here's that. Let's see why we lost our sound. Yeah, let's play audio. So I'm going to copy that, and then they put that before the hurt variable setting. So I'm going to paste that in there, and we'll try to add in that bunch. So now we should get the sound. Okay, so yeah, convoluted, but that should make it work in both cases. Now we might run into problems later. Maybe this isn't the way to do it, but why you would check whether you're moving or not, I don't know. Why they felt like they need to add that. We'll see. Okay, so that's 2 bugs down. There was this bug about screen tearing, I guess on some slower machines or older machines, or maybe machines that don't have an updated graphics driver. You'll see that the frames don't, parts of the frame sometimes don't line up vertically and are skewed either to the right or left horizontally. It's called screen tearing. I haven't been able to recreate this, but from what I've read, they talk about that as sometimes being a problem, and solutions are update your graphics driver, or perhaps slowing down your frame rate, or just checking to see if your machine's beefy enough to actually run this. I would suggest maybe slowing down your frame rate, see if that would help at all. Right now we're running, our room speed is at 30 frames per second. So hopefully that's slow enough. That is really slow. The last thing that we wanted to fix, let's see, we did the collectibles, we figured out the hazards and the collision events. Yeah, we have one last problem that I haven't been able to sort out yet. But I just wanted to show it to you so you could see it, and I'll continue to work on this one. And I'll show you some neat things that you can do with debug messages as well. So running the game again. So here's the game, and I've noticed this only works going to the right, or I mean going to the left, getting the game to fail. So if I run, see I have a nice transition from ice, object Zool ice to object Zool land, which seems fine if I'm going to the right. However, if I'm going to the left, see how I get stuck on the top there, or Zool gets stuck? Try again. See, sometimes it works, but most of the time he gets stuck right there. And so, in trying to figure out a way to sort this out, and so what I've done is I've gone into that transition between Zool ice and when we hit something solid. In this case, here, and I've added a lot of debug messages to this piece of code, because this is the code that's getting executed. And the reason I did this is so I could kind of get a glimpse of what's going on in this one event handler. So here we move to contact with solid, so evidently we've collided with the platform, at least on the left side. And then I put in some debug messages. Now these debug messages will appear down here in the output window. And so if I set up these messages properly, I should be able to see what's going on in this one event handler. So I put a kind of a line, just say this is the start of my debug stuff, and then I say what direction I'm moving in. I'm going to be adding the v speed, vertical speed, and the horizontal speed, also the x and y coordinates. Right now this is what I have. So so in each if and else, I put a debug in there so I can see what part of the code I'm in, which part I'm executing. Here's another one, and then here's the important one where Zool sees that there's a platform underneath him, and then suddenly changes to object Zool land. And that makes sense. You're on the platform. There's a platform beneath you. Now it's time to change to object Zool land. So if I go to object Zool land now, I put in a debug message there, just saying, okay, I'm creating object Zool land. I'm in the create event of object Zool land, so I can see when I change to it. And I did the same thing, object Zool ice. In its create event, I also put a debug message saying, hey, I'm creating object Zool ice. And now the way it looks to me on the screen is that it's having trouble staying in one of the states. It's just alternating back and forth quickly between the land state, because we see the land sprite a little bit, and then we see the slope sprite a little bit, and they're fighting with each other, it looks like. If you look back at our previous run, you'll note that here's what the debug messages are printing out. First it goes to land, then it goes to ice, and then back to land, and then to ice, and to land, and then to ice. So it's just alternating back and forth it does this maybe 12 times before it actually decides on ice sometimes, and you slide back down the hill. So right now, that's where our problem is right here. If we're in object Zool ice, let's say, and we're looking at the collision event with solid, right when we change to land, we're automatically getting switched back to ice. And so that would be an object Zool land. And what we're looking at there is in one of these step events, maybe end step. Yeah, it checks to see if there's a platform there. Now, looking at this, checks to see if there's a platform. If there's a platform there, then moves to contact with the platform. Otherwise, it changes to air, and we're not doing that. And then it checks to see if there's a wall there. If not, it checks to see if there's a slope there. And this is evidently coming out to be true as well. And so it switches right back to ice again, which is frustrating. My guess is it's something. My guess is it's something to do with. So my guess is something to do with right here. What's interesting to me here is here you say y plus speed, and usually you say y plus v speed. So what speed tells you is the speed is moving either horizontally or vertically, or it's kind of a mix of the two. How many pixels away is it moving from the previous location, either x, including in any direction x and y, or a combination of the two. I think that's the way it works. Why you would set y or adding speed to y and not x is a question. So my guess is, and then the other thing I would question is this move to contact. It says 270 instead of direction. 270 is down, but what if you're not moving down? You're moving sideways. So I'm a little puzzled by this, and this I think is where our problem lies. So I'm going to fiddle with this, and then in an upcoming video, we'll see what we have to change here to get this kind of getting stuck problem to go away. All right, that's everything we had for today.